The following hour was paid for by the host and does not necessarily reflect the opinion of 102.5 The Bone.
Are you ready? All right, everybody.
Pay attention.
It starts here.
Now that we're all prepared, let's start the show. Start the show.
And now, Miggs and Swig. Don Miggs, Ben Swig, JoJo, Lisa, and JJ. From music to marriage, from politics to parenting, from dating to deep thoughts and sports. Time for Life Out Loud with Miggs and Swig.
Let's get the show on the road.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday edition of the Miggs and Swig Show. And we're in sunny California once again with 2 more weeks left. This one and next week.
Well, 2 more weeks of shows, not 2 more full weeks in California.
Right. 2 more weeks of shows, and then we get back to, well, first we go to Canton, where we will be off that week. I couldn't tell you any of the days because they're all one day to me.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you. By the way, this is Don, and of course we have Ben back in the station in Tampa. He is done.
Off the road, back in the
done with his
stadium.
tour.
Or the studio, rather.
Studio.
Yeah.
In the stadium, did he say?
Well,
Stadium.
it looks like a stadium with none of you in here.
Aw.
Except
You
for
got
Jamie.
Jamie.
I got Jamie.
And is he wearing a kilt? I can't see him from the,
Hold on. Let me look under the
waist down.
table.
There you go. No.
No, he's not wearing a kilt.
I like that you really did look under
I
the
know,
table.
I do too.
Well, he wanted to see.
It's weird, but I like that you did it.
All right, and so now, everyone's okay. We don't have the last week. We had some weird delay stuff, which freaked Jamie out. It became a whole thing.
Jamie, what about you?
I got a little.
We
freaked
saw
out.
a different side of Miggs over here.
All right, but everyone's good now. And Ben, you hear everybody loud and clear there in the station.
Unfortunately, yes.
All right, good, beautiful.
Did
What
you
a
just
guy.
call him queer?
Yep, I did. It was something like that. So we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to sort of, so this show's been on now for a couple of years. We've been on a few different stations, and we keep getting kicked off, and we find a new home until they kick us off. No, we keep, thankfully, moving. I don't want to say moving up and insult the other stations, but we went from AM very deep in the dial to AM deeper in the dial to now over to FM. And we are evolving as a show. And anyone who knows the show at all knows that we are not radio personalities per se. We're just...
We don't have any person.
We just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. That's all.
Yes, we are friends who just are on a show together. And I don't feel like I don't hear JoJo so loud. But I don't know.
I can be louder.
Oh, she can.
We know you can be louder, but
I feel like I sound real rough today.
Oh, I got you now. Well, JoJo's been having things go on. I can't even describe. I see JoJo on Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter, and it seems like you are having the life of Riley out here.
You make some funny videos.
Do we?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that Eddie has been in the videos with you.
We've been obsessed with this
Eddie
Triller
is
app.
just a friend.
A friend of theirs.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
We've
Sorry.
been obsessed with this Triller app, which is it compiles. You shoot 3 or more, as I learned last night. Scenes up to 30 seconds of a song,
Right.
and then it pieces it together and makes a music video. So we've had the best time this past week. We have some friends, Lisa, your sister, and I, Nikki. We've have some friends in town, and so after a few beverages, feel
Water,
the need,
juice.
a lot of apple juice and milk, to dance and make videos. And it really is so cool to see it come together, but we really have a blast doing it together because we don't care and we're stupid. But
They're funny.
It seems as if I watch you and it's like you're auditioning for American Idol.
that's
She
just
looks
natural.
She looks really good on camera.
Yeah.
You
I don't know
do.
about
You look
that.
great on camera.
You're constantly like you're making love to the camera. You're doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm always just wondering,
Well,
man, what do you do when you like Lisa and I have kids? By that time of the night, we are just trying to find the other side of our eyelids and make sure we go to sleep.
I don't blame you. Last night, Ben, your son, was the star of our latest music video.
That's a shocker.
Yeah.
He doesn't get that from me. I
No,
don't
but
think.
we were laughing so hard because he disappeared for a good while and then came back down, and he had on Troy, our friend Troy's shoes.
Oh boy.
He had on Chad, Nikki's husband's pants. He had on a robe. He had on Amanda, her sunglasses, and his Dodgers hat. And so we made a Drake video because naturally that's what encompasses.
going for.
I don't know,
I need
but
to
it was
see
so
that one.
funny.
Wow.
So
I
it's
think
been a good time
he
having
needs to
friends
come
here.
back to his dad quick.
Well, his
Not a
dad's
bad
coming-
idea.
You're coming out here this week.
I
yeah?
am. I will be in the studio with you guys next week. I'm coming to L.A.
I mean, the first time in forever that we'll
California.
be.
Where are you
Knows how
staying,
to
Ben?
party. Well, I'm
With
staying with my
Nikki?
ex-wife. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
Well, so that'll be our final week out here in
Sundays.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even on Sundays,
yeah. The other announcement is that if you've really, really enjoyed us on Sundays, in God's Day, you'll be able to now move that and still enjoy your God's Day without us. We're going to be moving to Saturdays at 10 a.m., which is a pretty nice announcement.
Yay.
We're I don't even know what we'll be
August
following
14th,
or
I
forwarding.
think,
I think
right?
we're going to kick
Or
off
13th.
the new Saturdays, and we hope you guys will join us and come along. What's going to happen is we'll be
Or 13th. Or
13th, right?
This is Saturday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
13th.
so
Sorry.
we'll be here this week and next week, and then the following week we'll be
We have a
off
bye.
because we have a bye because Lisa will be in Canton inducting her dad into the Hall of Fame, and then we'll be back and it'll be starting on Saturdays, which is interesting.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then see if we get
None
pick
of
up.
us do anything on Friday nights anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Hey, that's
for,
not true.
For Saturday.
We're big
No,
partiers.
I'm excited to.
It's also the lineup will be different. We don't know anyone who's on it yet or any of the details.
except
But
for
we'll-
it will be original program. I mean, it will be live. It will be more what the Bone does during the week,
Right.
and they're going to do it on the weekend. So
And we-
it,
yep.
So
And we're
you
excited.
listeners are very lucky.
Yeah, so they've now included us into a little bit more into the Bone family. I mean, we're sort of like the redheaded stepchild, and I can say that
That you
'cause
want to bury
both
in the
of-
backyard.
Yeah, both of my sisters and my mom are got a tinge of the gin.
and you don't,
no,
and
you
you
don't?
don't.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Is
I
that
don't.
because of
we-
your trip to the salon yesterday, or you
No,
know
I
I couldn't
don't-
wait to bring it up? You know I could, and you just left the door wide open
Yes,
for me,
you
Don
did.
Miggs.
By the way, I was staring right
You
at
took
you
the
waiting for
you
it.
took the ginge right out, and then you
So-
claimed not to be a ginge.
I'm not a ginge. I didn't take
Are you
any-
embarrassed
Nowhere-
to be a ginge?
No.
Nowhere else on him, though. He doesn't have any ginge anywhere.
So the
He really doesn't.
shades don't match the
No.
rug.
No,
I've
I
never
don't
been
think
a ginge.
why is it, but it's just about hair. Like I feel like there's a.
Hair's hair.
It's got a tinge.
But I'm
You-
saying I feel like if you're ginger, then it's your skin, it's the freckles, it's the whiteness of all of you.
the pale.
And then the
pale
hair is
skin.
just kind of like the frosting on the cupcake, but you're still ginger flavored.
Yes, the very orange frosting on the cupcake.
with your lovely
quite
painted
not
toes.
he's not quite as orange as Donald Trump, but he does have a little tinge to him, a tinge of ginge. That's all. Don't. It's all
I
right.
don't
Move
have a
on.
tinge of
Anyways.
ginge. Hey, speaking of tinge of ginge, we are going to get into the RNC today and talk about Donald Trump and sort of just the whole kit and caboodle of the election, and really what it all sort of means and how people wind up getting. What's going on? What do I hear? I hear something bouncing back now. I don't know. It's not us, so.
Michael's up and running.
People wind up getting a little bit crazy, and they really. I like that everyone has their opinion and they all voice it really strong, but it gets really nuts when people start arguing with you about your opinion.
Yes.
Hey, Jamie, we're not sure exactly.
It's coming
who that
from one of your Skypes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no,
It's my phone.
Okay,
there's
great.
JoJo.
Anyways, we
Got
will,
it.
we will be talking about the politics in general, and I think the discussion today, no matter what we talk about, we're going to be talking about generalities. We might have our opinions one way or another, but I think as far as the political discussion goes, it's a mess across the board. I mean, we are. It's funny because I saw a billboard, or someone sent me a picture of billboard going moving. It had a picture
Moving to
of Donald Trump.
Canada.
Yeah, it had a picture of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and said, "Moving to Canada, we can help you sell your house. Call,
Yeah.
whatever realty." So
It's funny
it's a mess.
I think that it happens again and again. I do remember that when Bush was up for re-election, that I literally remember saying, if he wins, I think I have to move to Canada. I really felt like I would have to do that. But
You can't say that, though, because you really can't back it up.
No,
Nobody
you
should
can't.
say that,
No,
right?
and the other side is that in the end, once it gets to that point, you do what you can, you say what you can, but you have to you think globally, you act locally, even to the point of like you take care of your own, take care of your family, try to do the right things, and sort of get in your bunker and get ready for whatever those next 4 years are going to bring. So all I know is we'll be Saturdays on the Bone from 10 to 12 with Jamie, and that's all I can hope for in my life.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
That's good.
Jamie just fell asleep.
So did I.
No, I think it'll be a good change.
Yeah, I
I'm
think so too.
excited for it.
Sorry,
and
Jack.
I'm excited for all of us to be together next week.
Yeah. So the other thing is I want to talk about. So Ben posted something the other day. It was posting an innocent thing. His son had a circumcision, which I didn't know if the Jews did or didn't do circumcision.
We do, but I'm not. But let me just tell you, so I'm not hiding behind a false sense that I'm Jewish. So this isn't about me claiming I did it out of Judaism and I did it out of my religion or whatever. But yes, the Jews we do. It's a ritual that's been going on for years and years to circumcise your kids, and I was raised. That's why I'm recovering
poor
Jew.
black child.
Right. But I was more in the faith, I guess you could say, with my parents, and part of that was
In your faith.
in what was being circumcised. And I grew up in San Francisco, where I would imagine that I could tell you, being in the locker room in high school, the majority of my friends were circumcised. So
I bet you could
So both
tell.
I have two sons, both of them are circumcised, and I never thought twice about it. Like I didn't really, and this is the God honest truth when I posted that picture. It's on my.
So wait, real quick. Yeah. So Ben, I just want to make sure. So Ben posted a picture on his Instagram
because
and this started this whole hubba.
Right, because my son Jackson was circumcised when he was born, where it's a little less intrusive, and they just use local anesthetic, and they can do it because he's so young. But unfortunately, the doctor botched the circumcision and sort of hacked my son's penis. So we had a choice as parents.
The doctor's name was not Dr. Botch.
So we had a choice as parents to redo the circumcision, which I just felt as a parent that it would help him better off and feel more secure, that he didn't have this botched penis, and it was et cetera, et cetera. So during the day of surgery, I took a picture of Jackson before he went into surgery. Now, at his age, it is and I will give all these inactivists and people who have been commenting on my Instagram a credit, and they're right that it is.
Don't give away the whole show.
No, I won't. But so they had to put him under is basically what happened. They can't just because they move more at this age. So I posted a picture. And not really realizing that my Instagram account, Ben Swig Radio, is public, and I hashtag circumcision. And let me tell you something. You can go check it out right now. I'm going to take it down after the show because it's just something I don't want on my Instagram. But you would have thought that I had posted a picture of my wife coming out of an abortion clinic after an abortion, and me posting it and being proud of it. But that really wasn't the motive. The motive was just like we do on social media to let people know that my son is going for circumcision, and we're worried parents, and he was cute, he was smiling, and I hashtag circumcision, and it opened the floodgate, Don Miggs, and you guys. I mean, you guys have seen it. Again, it's still public. You can go check it out, Ben Swig Radio. I mean, there are and their comments came in instantly about people, ragging on us, saying we're bad parents, and how could we do that? How could we mutilate our kid? And how could we, be such bad parents? And who's looking out for the kid? And all this stuff. And I was just like blown away by it.
I was blown away by it. 800-771-1025, 727-579-1025. Either way, we want to hear from you.
Because we're going to go to break.
Yes.
And definitely after the break, we
want to
to
talk more about this because it really upset me. I don't have a child.
Yeah.
You don't have a child.
I've
Not
been
that she
with
knows
both circumcised and uncircumcised gents.
And I do want to ask you about that too. So
okay.
when we get to commercial, so I really love people to call in.
Yes.
And if you're circumcised and you wished you weren't, if you're uncircumcised and you wish you had been, if you're a woman. I just want to hear this whole conversation
because I didn't realize it was so.
I had no idea, and I've been doing a lot of research on it, and there are groups out there, and they are serious about this fight.
Gregory's Mama 12 is part of it.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
And
We're not going to call anybody out.
What gets me even more, which I want to talk about, and I want to know about our need, and this is not an insult to you or anyone, to post these things.
Yes.
To even get
You're right.
to get people even involved in those conversations. I don't like. There's a part of me that's like, why are we even asking for it? But I don't know. I think mostly I want to ask Jamie because Jamie is he's sort of my beacon, my center in life. Thank you, Jamie.
Love you too, Don.
Thank you, Don.
All right, listen. So you listen to the Miggs and Swig show. We are all okay out here in L.A. I know there were how many acres of
11,000.
I think it's up to
acres
20,000.
Oh, it is now?
20,000, yeah.
I think
of
20,000.
fire here. So
LA's
there's
on
ash-
fire.
Yeah, there's ash
All those
over
liberals are
everything.
burning.
Ash
Oh,
everywhere.
geez. There's ash everywhere, but everyone's okay. We want to talk about circumcisions, and we want to talk about the RNC, and we want to talk about you when we get back here on the Miggs and Swig show.
Nope, this stuff in
I love that.
Who made that song?
All right, everybody, you're listening to The Bone here. Happy Sunday morning. Hopefully you've had a good night. A little more eventful than JoJo, our resident single swingle, who looks like maybe there was a man in her night, but she's saying no. It was just sleep. You look like she's been tore up from the
flow up. Well, speaking
Rude.
of having crushes and getting some relations, we have a anonymous caller on the line who I guess he has
Is speakerphone all right or no?
No, take it off speaker, please.
All right, you got it.
It would have been so much easier.
So
right off the, I was trying to find a comfort zone, but
Mr. X, you have a crush on somebody that we're giving you an opportunity to go ahead.
it's not. It's really. When you have a crush on someone and you've been through this dance before, it's not really about the age thing. I don't even want to tell you the age because I'm embarrassed. Because usually you have things worked out by time you get to a certain age.
Well, is he or she over 18 years old?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Okay,
All right,
just clear that up.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. I'm completely thrown now. Yeah, it took me in a whole different area. There's certain things by the time you get to a certain age, you work things out and I've been here before, I understand this. Not that many times in my life has this occurred. Usually that things would go where you get attracted to a girl and you go out and there's levels of things. But in this way, every about maybe 5 years or something, it hits me in a different sort of way. And it's not even really about that person. Here's the essential problem as far as I'm concerned. I have a normal way of operating. I'm a pretty factual, reality-based person where I rely on physical evidence in the world, and I'm pretty much of a realist. I'm not into religion. I'm just into, perceiving things empirically. Right. But then something hits me about once every 5 years, and it really bugs me. And it's not that other person's fault. You're always a fantastic gal. Okay. It's what I do to myself.
You're killing me with this lead-in.
Mr. X,
I like it.
We only have a couple minutes here.
I'm at the edge of my seat here.
Enough info. What's your take? Are some people not cut out for this whole romance thing?
So does this girl or man or whatever it is, do they know you have a crush on them?
Hopefully not. I certainly wouldn't want that to be.
Okay, that's your first mistake.
Yes.
You have to let them know that you have a crush. Throw yourself out there, buddy. Let them know you have a crush. I'm not a therapist, but
he's not.
But that person is never going to know you have a crush on them unless you throw yourself out there. What's the worst thing that could happen?
How old are you?
Profound rejection. I prefer not to get into the age. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry, not to be disrespectful. It's a great question.
So here's the problem. If you're fear of getting rejected, you're never going to get anywhere with this person.
It's a terror thing.
Do you get a feeling from her that she or he or whoever it is that they like you also?
No, not particularly. It's just there's a fantastic dynamic quality and I sound old school when I say this, but a whole compounded factor of physical attractiveness, unbelievable virtue, unbelievable physical qualities that are really, really evolved.
Then you know what? You need to tell
you to that other person.
You need to tell them that. Otherwise, you're gonna be driving yourself crazy. And the worst thing,
unless it's my wife, Mr. X, and then
the worst thing can happen. Now, Mr. X, I have a quick question. I have a quick question. We got to let you go.
Yeah.
Are you circumcised?
That's a great question. I figured that was going to be coming. Yeah, and quite frankly, I feel like they took off a couple too many inches.
Are you happy that you're circumcised?
I like this guy.
Yeah, for cleanliness purposes, guys. It's not about religion, although my parents totally did it at the time. It was probably part of Judeo-Christianity, that whole sect. But for a standpoint of cleanliness, it's there's a visual thing that certain people are aesthetics, but it's easier for a man to clean himself off when that part of his apparatus is not overhanging. Now, I don't know if it pleases certain women to have that.
Well, we're gonna get into that right now. Hey, and listen, Mr. X.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. Just go ahead. The worst thing that can happen is no. We appreciate we appreciate the phone call.
JoJo's here for you if you need her.
I have a comment, and they're not letting me talk.
Go ahead.
Right.
I think if you really have a crush on this person and you're not getting
off
anything,
the air, I think.
That's okay.
Well, it
He can
doesn't
still
matter.
listen.
And if you're not getting anything back from them, I think that you should at least tell somebody else, because then it lessens the crush if somebody else knows about it. And I'm just saying, whenever I find another man cute or attractive, I always tell Don. I tell him, so there's no weird thing, ever.
Yes.
And I think it helps to lessen
Well, the
the
weird
crush.
part is when she's like, "Hey, do you mind you leaving the room?" And if that guy can come in, I'm always
my
like,
God.
"That's kind of."
So
Who says it's a guy all the time? Just kidding.
Oh God! All right, here we go.
Kidding.
So before the commercial, we were talking about circumcision, and my son was circumcised on Monday, and I posted a picture on social media, and one of the best things about social media, I truly believe, is that no one's voice is louder than anyone else's.
Right.
And it allows people to give different perspectives and backgrounds and share their opinions quite frankly freely. But it does become a double-edged sword. And I posted a picture of my son about to go get circumcised on an open account, Ben Swig Radio. You can go look at. 30 likes and 80 comments was basically what happened, and a lot of them were these intactivists. I misspoke before. It's not inactivists. That would be somebody who's not active in their beliefs. Intactivists. And so we're going to open up the phone lines. We don't know what these people are talking about.
800-771-1025 or 727-579-1025.
And we're going to continue this conversation because, quite frankly, and I think JoJo and everybody agreed that, I had no idea it was such a big deal. I had no idea there was such passion about getting boys circumcised. So, you guys ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
Let's take Ryan. Ryan, you're on the air with the Miggs and Swig Show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. So, what do you got for us?
Well, I actually saw your Instagram post. I've worked with an organization. I believe I even commented on that post. I promise you I wasn't one of them that called you a bad parent. I think that's a little bit poor taste. But I'm very much against circumcision. I'd be one of those intactivists that you were talking about before. This is something that I've worked on for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you circumcised or uncircumcised yourself?
Well, I'm circumcised.
Okay.
Nobody's really uncircumcised, just like women are not unmastecticized. I'm circumcised.
Okay.
You can be circumcised or you can be intact.
And why are you opposed to this?
Circumcision actually removes quite a few parts that you need. We had a really good quote I just heard is that sometimes Mother Nature makes mistakes. Mother Nature never makes mistakes with genitals. That's pretty important. So the parts that are removed in circumcision, the prepuce, the foreskin, those are actually pretty important, mostly for sexual function. So when you lose that, you actually lose quite a bit of sexual function, and that makes sex uncomfortable for both partners involved. And over time, causes a great deal of desensitization for the man.
So I guess the question is, and you did comment, and I appreciate your comment about people's comments about me being a bad parent and daddy of the year and all that. And if you missed it, it's on Ben Swig Radio, what Michael's talking about. We have Michael, is that right?
Ryan.
I'm sorry.
Ryan.
And I appreciate you believing in what you believe in. And this, again, this is not what this conversation is about. But at one point, why is it not the parents' decision or a religion's decision, which I was raised Jewish, I am since recovering Jew, but where it is a right of a parent to make that decision for the second time or even the first time. I mean, my son's penis the second time was not in great shape physically because maybe we had made that decision, but
I have no doubt it wasn't.
Right. So do we leave it mutilated? Do we leave it where later in life when he's with a woman or in a high school gym or whatever, what kind of shame is that maybe going to cause him down the line?
Well, I'll tell you this first of all. Once you've removed the prepuce, you've removed 20,000 fine touch things that are there for sexual stimulation. You've removed the ridge band that is an erogenous zone in men. You've removed the protective covering over the glands, which is going to cause it to dry out. The mutilation has happened. Now, unfortunately, and this isn't talked about very much in medical circles, there's a lot of complications that happen with circumcision, and there's a lot of do-overs, and it sounds like your son was a victim of one of those. And I don't know the exact details of what was wrong. I don't need to know, but sometimes follow-up surgeries, corrective surgeries are necessary. And I personally know people that have had to take their children back for corrective surgeries, or their children have almost lost their genitals completely.
Now, Ryan, let me ask you a question that maybe you can refute for us, because there is, the Mayo Clinic wrote and I know they're doctors and maybe they have ulterior motives or whatever, but the point of why it is in the Jewish religion is because of cleanliness, because of the help of, now the spread of STDs and other things that if you don't take care of it and clean it properly, it can not only cause urinary tract infections to the guy, but the sexual partner that he has with that bacteria that lives behind the foreskin if it's not cleaned correctly. Is there something to that?
Let me just preface this with your whole body has bacteria. There's bacteria in your stomach. It's in your eyes, it's under your fingernails, in your mouth, in your ears. We don't remove body parts because of bacteria, and not all bacteria is bad. Some of the bacteria that's under the foreskin actually has immunological functions. We need that. And really, the studies cited by the Mayo Clinic, not all of them are up to date. A lot of that's been debunked. This belief that cutting off part of the penis reduces the spread of HIV, that only seems to be the case if you are circumcised as an adult and you live in sub-Saharan Africa. Follow-up studies done in Europe and America did not yield those same results. The fact is, prophylactic condoms are more effective at stopping HIV or any STIs than cutting off part of your penis. Right. And you mentioned earlier that why can't it be your choice? Well, I'd ask you this: why isn't it your choice to circumcise your daughter?
Well, I don't have an answer for that, except for I just don't have an answer for that.
I got to tell you this though. I appreciate how
I
do appreciate that Ryan, you're not just getting on the phone just to spout some opinion. I appreciate that you have all these facts that you're backing yourself up with.
Yeah, and the other thing that's nice about it too, Don, is on that comment page, except for Ryan, I think, who did comment, most of these women were, I think harsh is a strong word, but they were very attack-oriented towards my decision, and I think that,
it wasn't just your decision, though.
No, it was Nadia's too. You know what I mean?
So, as a couple, you decide.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate the phone call. We have a lot of people who would like to talk about this, and thank you very much for your call. Let's go to Michael. Michael, with your circumcision comment. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Good.
So it's Michael are you Michael?
Yes, this is Michael.
I
Awesome.
love it. How are you, Michael?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just kind of starting my day here, and I was driving. I hire drivers for a rideshare company in the area, and I had the radio on, and I heard the conversation, and I thought, you know what? I've always had a strong opinion about this. I'm 26. I'm male, openly gay, but my father chose at my birth to circumcise me. And over the years, I'm not as educated as the other person that was on the phone. And from my understanding, I don't think that anyone's a bad person. I just think that a lot of people make decisions. And, whether that's telling your kid to clean out their foreskin or whether I'm against it personally. I think that a lot of people don't realize that it makes sex more enjoyable. Like I've sexually been with, because I've been openly gay, I've been with men that are uncircumcised and have been circumcised, and the guys that are circumcised are just not as sensitive. It takes them more, long to, get to the max. And I guess
isn't that a good thing sometimes?
Well, not necessarily.
Better than the 1 minute man, right?
True.
No, but it's interesting.
The guys that are the 1 minute man are enjoying sex a lot more than the people that have no foreskin, unfortunately. Because when you remove the foreskin, your head is actually being desensitized over time because it's being dragged along your boxers or hitting, I don't know, your jeans. So you're
right.
Imagine if you have a child and you don't let them touch the grass. I was in foster care in Detroit, and I met a foster kid who never touched the grass until she was about 13 years old. When she was 13, she finally hopped on the grass, and it felt like pins and needles on her feet, and it was painful. So when you remove the head of the foreskin, after it's been protecting the head's more sensitive. Well, that's because it's aimed for, to make sex more enjoyable as well. I think that a lot of people, in my opinion, focus on the negative and parents are bad and this and that. And I just think that people need to spend more time focusing on the positive. I think that I don't know much about the situation. I just kind of caught the end of it. But people just need to realize, hey, I think, in my opinion, it should be the child in the end, because I'm 26. I learned at a later age that I realistically would like that back. But, I know there's ways to grow it back and stuff, but, I'm at a point where I'm no point of no return.
Right.
And I guess I'm okay with the fact that I'm not a 1 minute Tom, but, I think that generally the general public just seems to be more focused on educating and training themselves, in my opinion.
Well, it sounds like you know plenty to have this conversation,
Yes.
and I'm sure you have a beautiful penis.
Yes.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. At one point in time, there's no I think if you're very brave to post something so taboo, it's a topic that people are very, very, very passionate about, and I bet you there's a lot of people listening right now that could probably agree. I'm one of those people. But it's kind of like perception. You just kind of educate yourself.
All right. Well, thank you for calling.
And that's what we're hoping this conversation does. So if you want to participate, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back to it. We want to talk more pro and con and positive and negative to circumcision here on the Miggs and Swig Show. 800-771-1025 or 727-579-1025. We'll be right back.
Speaking of the bone,
yeah.
This conversation today. Hey, if you're just tuning into the Miggs and Swig Show, couple things. You're welcome.
You are welcome.
This is our second to last Sunday. Then we move to Saturdays, 10 a.m. starting
August 13th. I'm sorry.
13th.
I was thinking about asking for snaps to be sent to me of whether, so I could take a poll of how many circumcised versus uncircumcised penises there are out there.
Well,
and then I thought maybe I shouldn't ask for that.
Yeah, you're going to get some penis
what
pics.
is your what's your snap? If people...
It is Joanne P, JOANNE P 83.
And if you want to send some
snap away
some foreskin pics.
I have to tell you, thus far in my, they call them the D word pics. I've never been sent an uncircumcised one. I've only ever seen circumcised.
Now you just open it way up to those intactivists.
Even wait a minute, Ben. Do you know what the numbers are? So we were talking about circumcision, and Ben had posted something on his Instagram, and at Ben Swig Radio, and it got a lot of he got a lot of flack for circumcising his son Jackson.
Yes.
And it's become something that we decided we wanted to sort of have a little more conversation about it on the show. But Ben, did you look up any stats of what the percentage of circumcised versus uncircumcised is?
Well, I did actually, and it was actually a shocking number. I think, Lisa, I don't know if yours found, but it was actually 75% of the world is actually intact. I don't want to say uncircumcised because, as Ryan told me earlier, that's the incorrect language. So I'm trying to be politically correct towards all these intactivists. And
so 75% of the world, but then how many? And I would presume America.
Most of it is in America. Yes, right. Most of it in America.
It is down in America. Circumcision rate in America is down from 81% in 1981 to about 55% today.
I guess my point is, and we'll get to these callers because we do have a full screen
dance card.
Yeah, we got a full dance card. But I've had kids. I had my first son 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and everything. If you're a parent out there, you know this, that everything changes in the medical world when it comes to kid. Should we put them on their side? Should they sleep on their stomach? Should we sleep? So I think that this is one of those things that the medical world is going to tell us something different. And yeah, it might change, it might go up. But I think that at the end of the day, this is just like, I don't want to, because I know what the intactivists are going to say, who's choosing for the kids. But I don't think that babies or children make decisions. I think that the parents, you do the best choice, you make the best decision for your kids. So I think that at the end of the day, just like this abortion issue, that it comes down to choice. It comes down and it comes down to the parents doing what's best for their kids, what they feel, and that's all that Nadia and I did. We did what we felt what was best. Did we make a bad decision circumcising him to begin with? Who knows? But did we make the right decision to do it the second time? Absolutely, because he needed to be fixed. So with that, if you don't mind, we will go to Max, who wants to talk about the relationship circumcision. The effect circumcision has on relationships within the family. So, Max, welcome to the Miggs and Swig Show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, what you got for us, buddy?
So, I like to take a little bit of a different approach than other people. Many people put, facts out and stuff. But I don't think enough people really focus on how it affects the individual themselves, especially emotionally.
Wait, Max, you broke up, and I think that your thesis there was cut off a little bit. So if
how
you
it affects people
emotionally.
Emotionally. Okay, being intact or being circumcised?
Being circumcised.
Okay. Well, how does it affect people emotionally?
Well, this is obviously separate, but there are a lot of people out there that feel very violated. I mean, think about it. They're missed parts of their body, and they had no decision or no part in the decision-making process. And as
is
you
that how
pointed out
you
earlier,
feel, or are you speculating that that's how other people feel?
Oh, this is how I feel.
Okay. Why do you feel that way?
Well, personally, to me, bodily integrity is very important. And I think that, everyone's got all these opinions and stuff out in the world. And, you're never going to get two people that have the exact same opinion about something. So when it comes to a person's own body, I think that the only person's opinion that should affect that is the person who has to live with it.
Right. Okay.
Agreed.
Well,
Thank
Max,
you.
Thank you very much for the call. And this, do we have somebody who was talking about later on in life, or did they drop off?
They dropped off.
Okay, because this is the somebody called in that wanted to talk about later on in life and getting circumcised. And I think the thing about it is, yes, it is a decision that can be made, and like Max said, a personal choice, but it becomes a much, much more serious of a surgery later on down the line. And one thing that I would love to talk about now is sort of move it into JoJo. And your experience.
you want to move it on into JoJo,
and maybe
huh?
Lisa, if she feels comfortable talking about it in front of her husband. But your vast experience of being with men.
Vast?
Yeah, it's vast. I said vast.
By the way, we're talking about JoJo now, not my wife. Not my wife.
And
of
you're
10 years yesterday, by the way.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Well, not married 10 years, but together 10 years.
Oh my God, you guys are one of those people who celebrate the first time we met,
Yes,
the first
we
time
are-
we
we
talked
are,
on the
because
phone, the first time we
no,
sent a
no,
text
no.
message, the first time we did this, the first time he held my hand.
It was the first time that I saw his circumcised penis.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, I'm sorry that we don't all have, bells to remind us of our great dates.
Oh, my God.
I have an anniversary for the bell. Anyways, JoJo.
Yes.
So you've been with men who have been
I have.
circumcised, and you've been with men who maybe have not been circumcised. Is that right?
And that was
That
just
is-
last night.
Right.
Yes.
That
Both
is-
at the same time.
According to how I look today, one would think that was the case, but no.
think.
Do
I
you
have been
a,
with both.
Do you have a preference? Do you care, or is it just a non-factor?
I don't have a preference. It does make me more nervous because if he is not properly taking care of an uncircumcised penis, then I am more susceptible to getting infections, getting, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm trying to weigh my words
Right.
here.
No, I understand it.
So that does make me nervous. So if I don't know somebody, it is weird. It does. I mean, it looks like a little turtle.
It kind of looks like the end of a rooster chin, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it's a different. I don't feel like it was a very common thing until I got a little bit older to know what one looked like. But to me, it doesn't affect me because it slides down.
Right.
So it still feels the same to me. Now, if it makes it more sensitive for him, I've only seen positive reactions from my sexual encounters on both
to
sides.
either one.
So I don't know.
Well, of course.
Well, we've had a lot of male callers today, and we have somebody calling from Europe. And Anna lives in Europe, and she, which obviously it is not a practiced, very common ritual, and I guess in some parts of Europe,
Circumcision is not.
Right, circumcision is not. In some parts
Right.
of Europe, they don't even allow it. So Anna, welcome to the Miggs and Swig Show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, I guess, in Europe.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So, Anna, what's your opinion on this?
Well, my opinion is that I'm obviously against circumcision. And I wanted to say to that woman who's nervous about sleeping with someone who's not circumcised.
JoJo.
That woman,
Yeah,
JoJo.
JoJo. Sorry, JoJo. If that was the case, then don't you think that Europe would have a much higher rate of HIV and STDs? When, in fact, America, in the modern world, is actually the worst case of, has the highest rates of HIVs and STDs.
Oh.
I think we're just bigger whores
if
over here.
foreskin was so dirty and gave you diseases, then wouldn't we have seen that in Europe?
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
You know what, though? Here's the craziest thing about all of it is that it's all about what you are, what you're used to, what you've grown up with, and what.
Yes.
Like what
I
I've
think
grown
that-
up with is a circumcised penis, and so to me, it looks better,
Right.
and it seems
Right.
And it's
healthier
normal.
and cleaner,
And-
and it's normal
Right.
in my head, whether it is or isn't. It's no different than if you grow up, having running water, then you're used to running water, and if you don't, then you're not. Then
Right.
you're not used to
And
it.
thank you for calling, and I appreciate your input. And Don, that's
And
the thing.
from Europe, by the way.
And from
Yeah.
Europe, right? Because I guess these hashtags, obviously people are out there looking at these hashtags. But
Real quick,
you
though,
know,
Ben, if you're just joining, sorry, the Miggs and Swig Show here. We are talking. Ben had posted a picture of his 9 months. Is Jackson 9 months?
just under right, 8,
Uh,
7.
He has no idea, by the way. You may have to ask
November
his wife.
3rd, so whatever that is.
of going in to have a circumcision a second circumcision,
Right.
because the first one didn't go according to plan.
Right.
And so a lot of people had a lot of things to say. I was one of them. And my comments on your Instagram at Ben Swig Radio were not to be one way or another for circumcision or uncircumcision. I obviously don't have a penis, and I don't know what that feels like. I know that if I had something different with my breast that made me feel less of a woman or not like I, had a say in my body, it might bother me. But my My stance of why I was so bothered by this was, to me, the comments that people were making when you don't know someone are not warranted and aren't solicited and you weren't putting it out there.
Right, like I was putting it out there, and that's the thing that Dawn said was that, to me, it's just normal. Like I didn't even think that, and maybe it just, I apologize about being naive, but I didn't know that there was such a big movement towards this, to keep it intact. And, I did it as just like I do with something else. Like I with everything else on my social media, I put a picture of my son who's about to have surgery. And, a lot of friends said, well, good luck, Jackson. We're thinking about you, Jackson,
Yes.
or whatever. But it wasn't to, I guess, start this uproar of comments. And it's really opened my eyes, to be quite frank with you, that, one thing about social media is I have a public account on my Instagram because of the radio show and whatever. And I left myself open to it. So I take,
but
I'm
that's
culpable.
more my point.
Right.
See, even when JoJo, with your response, which I didn't have a problem with the response.
What was your response, by the way, Don?
Mine was hi. No, but my issue with the whole thing, and Lisa and I were talking about this, is more, I wonder, and again, this isn't about you, Ben, because I do it too, or JoJo. I wonder more about why anymore, because when we were first voting for Barack Obama, I would post some things, and then I would get in arguments with people. And the truth of that is, I think everyone gets an opinion, but I don't care enough about what people think anymore to even post stuff. Lisa and I, we don't post most of those sorts. I don't think I would. I don't know if I would or wouldn't post.
Okay, but you just posted a picture of your sons painting your toenails.
That's a whole different thing.
No. But what I'm saying is, there are people that are going to have something to say about your sons, painting your nails, that you're allowing them to paint your nails. What does that tell them? That it's okay for men to paint their toenails? Is it?
And it kind of goes back to a little bit what I was talking about last week with Victoria Beckham kissing her daughter on the lips, and people were shaming her for that. Nobody should be shaming Ben and Nadia for circumcising their child. If they have an opinion, I think that's fine. But again, there's so much hatred and bad news and bad things going on in the world that you don't need to start that on an Instagram account.
Exactly. So if you don't agree with it, then
give your reasons why you don't agree,
right, but
don't
say
get into
you're
a
terrible
fight.
parent
Yes,
because you did it.
Don't
you
get
mutilated
into
your
fights with
child
people because of it. That's
exactly
not the
right.
right way
what bothers me.
to go about doing it.
So that's exactly you just articulated it right, because that's my point. Is that I don't mind you, Joanne, even having that conversation back and forth, but I don't think it's any. I mean, if you put anything up there, be ready for people to have an opinion.
Yeah, 100%. But that was my thing to the one girl that was very staunch and going after everybody that was sending well wishes to Ben and Nadia was. You don't know these people. You don't know their situation. Maybe there's a reason why they had to circumcise their kid.
Right.
Maybe there was something wrong that they needed to remove that skin.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't know that.
Yeah, and
so before you start lashing out on somebody that you don't know.
But isn't that what we do? Sorry, Ben, but isn't that's sort of my point that I do want to get into the top of the hour when we talk about even the RNC.
More penises.
Is the fact that we all jump on these bandwagons too of
Or to conclusions.
Right. Or when Lindsay Lohan was everyone hating on her, everyone jumped on hating her, right? And it's like everyone has an opinion and everyone throws so much, as Lisa was saying, it's so much like hatred and spit, as opposed to just saying, I don't agree with Trump. Or even like the fact, I think Trump's an idiot. But that should be the end of, that's my opinion. And but once someone puts something in a public forum, like Ben did, you are opening yourself up,
and I'm completely
and you should not be surprised that happened.
Well, the reason I was surprised, and we got to go to commercial, right? But the reason just that I was surprised was it was done, I guess, more naively than I had thought. Like I didn't think that it was going to be. I wouldn't have posted something like that. Like I said, it was almost like I had taken a picture of Nadia coming out of an abortion clinic after an abortion and like proposing it to the world. But I would never do that if I knew that it offended so many people. Just like I wouldn't do that. And I hashtag circumcision, and it opened up these gates. And like I said, and we'll go on this, is that the internet is a great thing because no one's voice is louder than somebody else's. But when it comes to health and the freedom, it becomes a double-edged sword, and you're seeing it more and more politically, health and all that everybody has an opinion. And I left myself wide open to it.
Right.
So it's on Ben Swig Radio, my Instagram account. You can go read comments. We've had great discussion. I'm going to take it down, probably this afternoon because I just don't want that nonsense up on my account.
So if you want to get some last swipes in at Ben for
for mutilating my son,
get in there.
Which, by the way, his son is doing just fine.
Yes, his penis, though, the skin is no longer there. If you are listening to Miggs and Swig Show and you are enjoying yourself, well, be prepared. We have another hour after this, which is going to start with The Juice with JoJo, and then we're going to get into the RNC and plagiarism and Ted Cruz and Trump's speech, new Trump.
Exciting for me.
So much going on. Be back after these words, Miggs and Swig.
Pay attention.
It starts here.
Now that we're all prepared, let's start the show.
The conversation is about to get louder. You're listening to Miggs and Swig. Don Miggs, Ben Swig, JoJo, Lisa, and JJ. From music to marriage, from politics to parenting, from dating to deep thoughts and sports. Get ready for Miggs and Swig. Life out loud.
Let's get the show on the road.
Man, the commercials come quick.
That was
the
fast.
show just moves. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning into the Miggs and Swig Show, rumor is you missed a pretty great first hour, and you're not going to get that hour back. Actually, you can listen to that. I don't know what you can do. Is there a podcast? Yeah, go to Miggs and Swig, and the show will be available right after the show is done here. I don't know what I'm saying.
I think my husband secretly texted Ben on the side, so I didn't make comments about the circumcised versus uncircumcised penises that I have seen.
What do you mean?
That's not true.
Well, because you let JoJo speak about her instances about that. I think my husband's texting you on
then
the
I
side.
want to do a little extension and just get from you.
No, that's all right.
Pun
I know you're
intended.
uncomfortable with
extension.
it because you think you are the only man I've ever been with, so that's
no,
okay.
The only really
real man.
Real man.
Oh my God.
Lala, Lisa.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
You
Ben.
have obviously been with your husband, who is not the first man, Don, that you have been with your life.
Right.
Not even this month.
No. But do you have a preference to uncircumcised men? I'm sorry, intact. I'm trying to use the politically correct lingo now with these people. But do you have a preference to intact versus what's the other one?
Well, I have to say,
unintact
versus not intact. I honestly, I have only been with one person who was not. What is it?
Intact.
Who was intact. So, and I didn't know that he was intact until it came down to that time.
And was it a shock?
And I was like, oh. And I didn't realize it at first, and I didn't say anything. And I was like, oh, that's what that is.
Yes, it catches you off
It
guard.
caught me totally off guard. I
Yes.
didn't say anything because I didn't want him to feel
And
self-conscious
she was in the moment,
about it.
So she still was making sure to finish the act.
Oh, I finished all right.
And
I
that
finished.
little turtle just
But
goes right back.
it just
in.
goes right back.
It comes right out and goes right back in.
I have to say, though, I do love my husband's penis. And I'm not just saying that because he's my husband. So I would pick his over anybody's.
Even if it was
Wow.
uncircumcised?
You-
Intact?
And that's what,
That-
yes,
that little tinge of ginger
intact,
penis
not
over there.
intact.
It
Ring
just
the bell,
it
baby.
just sort of reminds me of that game. Have you ever seen those Toys Kids that are filled with
Yes.
water?
barely hold it.
Water,
And
you-
that's exactly
you
what it
can't
looks
hold
like.
it, and it keeps on like sliding down.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Anyways, we the comments continue on my Instagram account, and like I said, I'm taking it down. I appreciate everybody's input, and I am not. I just want to make one thing clear. Somebody said on the my Instagram account, Ben Swig Radio, is that I am not upset or regretting my decision. So, if that came across at all during this show or anything, the regret or wishing I could go back and take it back, that is not part of the conversation.
Yeah, we'll see what Jackson says in 15 years.
Yeah.
You You
well,
murderer.
I don't know
hacker
where he.
Oh my God.
One thing is for sure is that kid is hung like a horse, and I'm not quite sure where he got it from.
God.
I will just
Must
say
ran
that
in Nadia's family.
Every penis. Well, I shouldn't say every penis, but the majority of penises are beautiful in their own right, and men should just be proud
of what they've got.
Of what they have.
I agree with you.
So, Jamie, stop self-hating. It's just really, I think, where this
It's
is
really
going.
okay.
Never going to happen.
Well, you know what? I bet you most listeners are very thankful that we're moving to Saturdays on August 13th, so they don't have to hear this on their Sunday drive from church. So
it's going to get a whole lot raunchier on Saturdays.
Yes. Oh, Saturdays we are off
I'm
the
excited.
chisaning. We are off the skin.
You're
the
way
foreskin.
too white to say that.
All right, good. Hey, listen, why don't we do just a little, because we're in La La Land, and there were a couple great C's that we've had.
Yes.
And
This week.
Can we do a little bit of Juice with JoJo?
Yes, please. I love that.
And now,
Talking about the juice with JoJo. Rolling down the screen, searching headlines. Talking about the juice. Here's JoJo.
So this week,
Go on.
in Los Angeles,
Go on.
I had the pleasure of having dinner with Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs, Sean Combs. I don't know what else he goes by these days. And Usher, they were at the same table.
Wow.
And by have dinner with, I mean we sat next to.
Yeah, and by have dinner with, she meant they had dinner.
They had
at
dinner
the
together,
table,
and I sat and watched.
and she had gotten thrown out of the establishment.
No,
for-
but they did. They came in for a late night dinner. And I also, that same evening, saw comedian Jeffrey Ross, who is
Who?
so bald, but he is so funny, and it was really
And
cool.
that's not, by the way, folks, she is not putting a slight against bald people
here we
in
go.
the world.
No, I meant he was uncircumcised.
Yeah.
Circumcised. I don't know. Yeah, so no, Jeffrey Ross and a very handsome former Baywatch star, David Charvet, was there.
Don and I have actually met David Charvet.
I dropped that name.
He's very good looking.
Very handsome.
Very handsome man.
He's married to
Brooke
Burke.
Burke.
Yes, not Burke.
I get those Brooks.
Wasn't she married to Bruce Willis?
Brooke Burns dated
That's
Bruce
why I just
Willis
shut up during this
years
convers-
ago.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Years
but
ago.
very
Why do I
handsome.
know that?
But this was at the Nice Guy here in Los Angeles, which has really good food. It's a very who's who kind of place, so it'll
guys
probably
went
be
again.
It'll
They
probably
did.
be done in about
Did we get
6
an
months.
invite?
We were in Montecito.
Dang.
Yeah,
We didn't get an invite yesterday either, the pool party. You know why?
because you wouldn't have come.
No, can I tell you what
He
we
did
learned?
say that to me today. We didn't get an
You
invite
want
to
to
that.
tell you what I learned, though?
Yeah.
And folks, this is good for you to know out there, Ben, for you as well. If you are boring, like
Boring
I know,
or born?
Boring, like I know Ben is, just
I wasn't
like
sure
we
what he
are.
was saying either.
What will slip out at Soho the other night when we were having dinner with Kanye?
We were.
We were. He was at the next table as well. But Eddie, our friend Eddie,
Because Jamie's sleeping.
Eddie was. We were. I guess everyone were having drinks, talking, and Eddie or. It was either Eddie or Troy, and Eddie and Troy. I know you're listening. So
They
if you
totally are right
Want to
now.
call in and refute this? You're welcome to.
800-771-1025 or 727-579-1025.
Because what I've learned is we are not fun enough, Lisa and I, to have at those events because everyone they feel
We
like they
were-
have to act like they're on their
Oh,
very
they were
good behavior.
basically told that.
No,
Yes.
not basically.
I
We
mean,
were actually told.
We were
that.
told that.
that they watch their behavior around you.
So now we know why
we
Nick
get that
doesn't
to stop?
hang
around?
with us.
How do we get that to stop?
Well,
You
then
have
you
to-
flash your boob.
Troy,
Yeah, I was just
somebody call in and tell us how.
Come to the Abbey with us today.
That's
Oh,
not gonna
boy,
happen.
that's
We have-
not gonna
we have things
happen.
going
See
on.
what I'm saying?
There you
There
go.
it is.
She just throws you a solution to the problem,
We
and
have
you ignore
kids.
it.
Do we just
You know
lose
what?
them?
does
If,
Nikki.
if
And
I
Nikki does.
hadn't just been away from my kids for 2 days, I would come to the Abbey with you.
Okay.
If I had been away from my kids for 35 minutes, I wouldn't go to the Abbey with you.
I had fun at the Abbey
It
when
is
I
fun.
went.
Yeah,
I had a
fun.
little boy dancing on me.
All right, so we're really not that exciting, and that's okay.
No, we're
but
not.
go ahead, JoJo. So we got any other?
I think you're exciting. My friends at E! News told me that the Miss Teen USA competition.
That still happens?
It is. And on July 30th, the contestants are going to hit the stage at the Venetian in Las Vegas. But they will be removing the swimsuit competition portion of it.
And adding foreskin competition.
And apparently replacing it with an athletic wear competition.
How old do you have to be to participate in Miss Teen USA? Do you know?
13.
And how
No,
long
I'm
do you have
kidding.
to stop caring?
Well, no. Is it over 18? Like, is it 18 to
like 24? I feel like it's something in that realm.
Oh, so it's
24?
not just in the, because how could you
How's
have
that a teenager?
You're not, but you're not.
Because how could you have bathing suits if the kid is 15? You know, you
Well,
shouldn't.
I just
very
Googled,
college.
according to this, Miss Teen USA candidates must be at least 14 and under 19. So 14 to 18. Yeah.
Wow.
Teenagers.
So Jamie now bringing the
Legitimate
facts.
teenagers.
There you
JoJo
go.
bringing the foreskin, Jamie bringing the facts.
Meanwhile, JJ
That's
is nowhere to
weird.
be seen on JJ. We have a new fact checker.
Yep.
Apparently,
You're fired.
The Miss Universe organization has teamed up with Tap Out, which I've not heard, but they're a global fitness brand.
Yeah, tap out MMA gloves and workout gear.
Okay. Okay, so they will be providing the athletic wear to the contestants.
Oh my
Nice.
Which, I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
Free athletic
Hey,
wear.
can we stop with the Miss
Pageants?
Everything
pageants?
pageants? Why?
Doesn't Donald Trump own some of these pageants, or one of, at least some?
I
You
don't
know.
know. They're
Miss
just,
Universe, I
Miss
think. he
Universe.
does?
it's just stupid.
Why?
Because I'd rather see everyone in foreskin.
Oh my God.
He
No, I
keeps
just
going
can't-
back to
I
that.
just can't. I think it's so dumb. I was
Well,
never
doesn't-
interested in it.
I mean, if you're 14 and you are joining this pageant, doesn't that sort of perpetuate the skeevy men watching these women?
Well, Lisa, you and I have had that conversation a lot. That
Well, I try and get you to stop looking at those girls. That's the point here.
She's kidding. But like we were talking about how everyone was so disgusted years ago with Britney Spears, say, after first when she was 15 on the cover of Rolling Stone and showing like her boobs and stuff, everyone was making her into an adult, and then when guys treated her like an adult, everyone was blown away that they would treat her like an adult. So like. I just think these things perpetuate. They're just not good for anybody.
Right.
Well, I just don't understand what the point of it is, because nobody is looking at these girls going, "Oh my God, she's
What a
so
singer.
smart and
Yeah,
she's
what a
going to do
singer."
amazing things out in the world." They're looking at her hair that's been aquanetted to the nth degree.
Aquanet. Do they still make that stuff? Scott Helfand, my father, was a big, probably put
Really?
Aquanet on the map. I think he still uses it. I didn't actually know it. But does it in the aerosol can? It still exists?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
The purple, it looks like a fishnet.
Boy, I
Aquanet.
am learning something new about Scott Helfand.
Well, I mean,
I would not have thought that.
Here's
Can
the
I
thing,
tell
too.
you that he's worse for this world with that Aquanet than you with the foreskin issue? with
Well,
your son.
here's the deal, right? If we get back to this parenting thing, the discussion is, is it okay? A 13-year-old or a 12-year-old, or isn't there a earlier one?
Oh yeah, baby Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo, whatever she was.
Jean-Benet Ramsey.
Jean-Benet Ramsey was 5.
Right. So
R.I.P.
I mean, there's at some point that those parents decided that their daughter, or getting your kid into modeling at 3 years old or 4 years old. I mean, these are all parental decisions, and whether
that
you agree
make for your child,
and whether you agree with it or not,
it's the father who pushes his kid
into
his son
sports.
into football
Right.
and to be the best quarterback, and
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what
I
happens
agree.
is, we just what kids wind up doing. Did we just read this or something? Lisa, we were talking
I
about where
feel
they're going to act out so that they can lower your expectations of them because
Which
you're
makes sense.
because you're trying so hard to make them into something that they may not want to be, and it's easier. It's like, look, I'm going to screw up in school, so I fail, and then.
So at what point, though, and I know, but at what point as a parent how much do you give? How much free reign? How much decision making do you give? When does that start? When does it stop and start for a parent to intervene and make those decisions?
Well,
does it ever?
Go, I mean, I can tell you for sports. I got Asher involved in sports and playing t-ball and playing baseball and, all these other things. And now he's 12 years old. It's a decision that there's a travel ball team that he got asked to play for. And it was a decision that I sat down with them and I said, Asher, do you want to play baseball? Now, if his answer was no, then that's fine, right? It wouldn't be at that point, well, you're going to play baseball or you're not going to eat, or anything like that. But one thing that's going to happen, he knows, is if he decides to not play baseball, he's going to have to find something else. Because it's not going to be sit around the house with the iPad or with the PlayStation or with that whatever. He's going to have to find some passion or something that he enjoys to do.
Yeah, but what if it's reading? What if he says, what I want to do all day, Dad, is read books because I want to be a writer?
Great.
It doesn't have to be something physical.
If he finds something that he enjoys and he finds something that brings him passion.
Okay, but I will tell you on the flip side to that, I loved dancing. And
you still love dancing, and now it's just a little bit more exotic.
But I'm not mad at my parents, but I'm mad at my parents for not pushing me more. I wish they would, or piano. I liked it. I had a terrible teacher, and I was like, well, this is stupid, and I don't want to do it.
Skill set, but I'm sorry.
but I, looking back, wish they would have pushed me a little bit into something.
Jojo, my parents fostered nothing in me. Nothing.
And if you're DeBartolo.
No, and I don't mean that negatively or badly, but they did not. I mean, I loved to play tennis, and I did play even when it was like cold. I would play indoor tennis, but they did not foster things like, "Oh, this is what you should do."
It was kind of
my
like
dad
if you were
used
like,
to
"Man,
joke."
I want to do it." They're like, "Okay, you don't have to do it." Instead of saying,
exactly,
no, you need to go.
You didn't have to do anything,
right?
And my dad would joke, "Oh, you should, play a lot of tennis and go play Wimbledon one day." Well, that didn't happen,
but it could have maybe if they would have pushed you a little bit. If you're just tuning into the Miggs and Swig show here on 102.5 The Bone and want to participate in any of our conversation, 800-771-1025 or 727-579-1025. Before I move on from that, Ben, let's just throw a hypothetical out there that if your son wanted to maybe surprise you with a haircut or something and that was a decision that he made, would you be mad about that?
We have to go to commercial. We will be right back after these short messages. Come back. We're going to be talking about the RNC, the dysfunction that went on, the dysfunction that's starting to happen already at the DNC, and all kinds of more talk about penises. So we'll be right back after these messages.
And talk about hair, apparently. Cannot wait for that. Miggs and Swig. All right. I just got a peach. Just started eating the peach.
That'd be a great fruit.
That'd be a great name for an album.
There you go. Eat the peach.
That's a good idea.
Hey, I got.
It is the name of an album.
I got
Allman Brothers, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, right.
Before the break, we were saying we were going to get into talking about everyone's favorite subject, which is Trump.
We
were talking about a lot of foreskin, and that always brings up Trump in my mind.
Oh God!
So we were going to talk a little bit about Trump, the RNC, plagiarism, Ted Cruz, Trump's speech. We want to hear from you.
800-771-1025 or 727-579-1025.
Or on social media if you're too shy to speak.
Some people like to. They're real tough on behind their computer screens, and so maybe that's how they want to reach out.
Whoa! So you know what,
Gregory's
Ben,
mama.
Get us started with this. Give us a little bit of the latest scoop that you have for anyone who's living under a rock with what it is that's getting your goat, because Ben is the one that said I want to talk about this.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting my goat, but I try to stay as informed as possible, and much to the chagrin of my wife, I watched all 4 nights of the RNC, and I try to keep it just like we do on the show. I mean, an open perspective, and hear other people's thoughts, and try to hear it from both sides, and so I can make an informed decision when I go to vote. And I just the whole thing, and it just gets me thinking. If you weren't watching, we had the plagiarism scandal of Melania Trump's speech, where she took. It would be. I don't think you can make a case either way that it was not plagiarized direct word for word, whether it was intentional or not. Plagiarism's plagiarism. And to me, I don't know. I think that Donald Trump is the king of social media. He is brilliant when it comes to using the press as puppets, and he is a little puppeteer that controls what they say. To me, if you were watching the RNC earlier in the day, there was this uproar by Cruz supporters who tried to open up the conversation again to get a vote to whether delegates could change their mind. And it was a pretty big deal. I mean, it doesn't usually happen at conventions like that. And then all of a sudden, her speech, his wife's speech, and the whole next day, let me tell you something. All talking heads, politicos, they were only talking about her speech. And, he even tweeted, this speech is getting more coverage than any other potential first lady or first lady speech in the history of the world, which is absolutely true. So part of me is like, was this done intentionally?
Absolutely.
Was this done so people talk about that instead of, because it is true. And I mean, Trump has gotten, I think, an estimated $1.4 or $1.5 billion worth of free advertising because they talk about him and his antics and all that stuff.
He is brilliant.
He is brilliant.
How he
is he
runs
brilliant,
the
or
media.
is that his people?
No,
he doesn't have people.
No,
I just read a whole article that the only, even his press secretary was like, she's 27, never did anything in politics for sure. Like everybody that's part of him, if you don't agree with Trump, you're gone. So he doesn't have people saying to him, this is the way it really is.
Right.
You either agree with him or you're not there.
And
so
they
cheerleaders.
And they didn't let him. They didn't come out with a comment until the next day. So they let them talk about it for a day, and then they came out with the fact the speechwriter, went to go quit, and they resigned the comment. But they could have done that from the beginning, but they let them talk about it because guess what? They were talking about Trump, whether it's good or bad, instead of what actually happened on the floor of that convention that day. And it was like deflection. And then, I think it was Wednesday night, you had Ted Cruz, who, I have to tell you, whether it was done.
He looks like his face is squished in foreskin.
Yeah,
no?
he needs his face circumcised.
He does need his face circumcised.
But the point is that he. Look, I obviously don't agree with what he stands
Tell
for
me what he is. Say it.
For anything he stands for. But I was watching that speech. Nadi and I were watching that speech on the ends of the edge of our chair, saying he's going to endorse. He's going to do it right now. There's an opportunity. Like it was done in a way where you're like, okay, he's going to endorse. He's going to endorse. He's going to endorse. And you know what? He didn't endorse. And there's plenty of other talking heads, and everybody has an opinion on why he didn't. But I have to tell you, I have a little bit more respect for the guy, because if somebody had said the things about my wife or about my father that Donald Trump said about Ted Cruz's dad, I couldn't stand up there as a man of some sort of morals or ethical code integrity to endorse that person just for some political gain. And some people are saying he did it because he's betting that Trump won't win. But anyways, so the whole thing is, I would really love people to call in, Trump supporters, Cruz supporters, Hillary supporters, and let's just talk about. I mean.
Hey, Ben, I want to talk about what you just said, though, while we're waiting for other people to call in.
800-771-1025, 727-579-1025.
Thank you. Whenever you do the other number, I always cut you off.
I know.
Care less.
I just keep
What's
going.
amazing to me is that these people flip on themselves so quickly. Even there was a picture of Trump with Bill Clinton and Hillary at one point. They're like all hugging. How quickly people, for political gain or for getting whatever they need on their side, they'll flip.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at, like, I love that Ted Cruz was at least said, you know what? At some point, I've got to stand up for myself as a man and say, or as a woman, it's not about being a man, and say, I'm not going to do anything like this for political gain. Because in the end, it wouldn't have served him well either way.
Right. And so you have that, and then you have Cruz, and then you have Trump, who gave, some people say, depending on what side of your fence is, I'm not going to get into his speech, but he gave a good speech. He, stayed on point. He didn't go off on one of his tangents. And the point of a convention is to unify your party, unify the base, and you get all this momentum to go into, what's going to become the general election,
stretch.
right? And so the very next day, Donald Trump, has a press conference in front of his supporters and volunteers and everybody, and he just leans into Ted Cruz, and he brings up all this stuff again, and he goes back to old Trump. And it's like, to me, again, we talk about, then the media focuses on Donald Trump, the old Donald, all this stuff, and they're not talking about his speech, which to me, didn't have a lot of plans in there, didn't have a lot of substance in it, but yet we're not talking about his deficiencies or how great his speech was.
He's just smart.
He's smart. He is smart.
Hey, I have a question though for you and Lisa.
Yes.
Because you two, I know that Lisa has said she'd have trouble. She has trouble when people support someone that you can't really be friends with, a Trump supporter. Someone who votes for Trump. I don't know if you mean that, Lisa, that you can't be friends with them, but
I don't want to discuss it with them.
You don't want to discuss it with them, for sure.
I don't like debating things, and I know what I believe in and what's important to me. And if that's not important to you, then we're not on the same page as friends, and I don't want to discuss it.
Right. And
so
yeah, go ahead.
Wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
The second part of that is that, so your son wants Trump. Your nephew, your oldest nephew, wants Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
how does that? Is that tough for you?
No, because I don't really think that a 12-year-old, if he really truly understood the whole severity of it, but maybe he will. And if he does, great. If he's 18 years old and he wants to vote for a guy like Donald Trump, or if he wants to vote Republican, or he wants to vote Green Party or Independent or whatever it is, that's fine. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about the country. Lisa, I respect what you can't do that. I don't mind having these conversations. I enjoy.
Right,
having,
I know you don't. I know you.
And
I know
to
you
me,
enjoy
I
that.
respect people's. That's what makes this country great.
No. But my point about your son and about the Trump thing is that it's more of a popularity thing.
Right,
Like,
with,
that's the thing
with
Trump,
younger
is that
kids, they're seeing him on TV and in social
Being
media. It's
racy.
more of that
Right.
for those younger kids.
And
Asher doesn't understand about immigration and
Right.
religion and abortion and
So it's
things.
a
He doesn't
popular
understand
vote.
about
I
that.
hope he's picking him just because he has a very hot wife. And speaking of,
She may be
speaking
hot,
of,
but that's all she's got.
That's all she's got. They
Uh,
should never have put her on TV.
Nope.
That poor thing.
the speaking of
Bless
Trump,
her heart.
speaking of somebody who is going to have a conversation of the opposite side of what Lisa thinks, we have Janet on the phone. Janet, why are you supporting Donald Trump?
Well, because it can't be Hillary Clinton, basically. I mean, I'm an independent. I've
Sounds
always
like a good
been
enough
an
reason.
independent voter. Pardon me?
I said that sounded like a good enough reason.
It's your opinion.
Well, here's the thing. I've always been an independent because I've always felt that you educate yourself about a candidate. You don't vote party line. You just vote for the person that you think is the best. But do I love Donald Trump? No. I think he's a horrible speaker, But the thing is that you pretty much know what you get with him, as opposed to the flip-flopping. I mean, I've talked to some, people on Facebook, and they're all about Hillary, and they're talking about how awful Trump is. But what about when you put a video in front of their face that shows her talking about, how she's against gay marriage, but now all of a sudden, it's time to vote. Oh, she's, pandering all over the gay community, and now
I think they've all done that.
Her DNC. Do you see the list of people that are going to speak? She's got every mother of a black child that's been shot by a, police officer on. Where was she 6 years ago on this, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? She just goes wherever she thinks people need to hear, as opposed to Trump. Trump is Trump. He's right out there. You get what you get.
Except
But he's
Trump,
just unpredictable.
Trump used to say that he was okay with abortion, and now he's not.
And he also said that Republicans were the dumbest voters.
He did
that. Come out and say that.
And
That is true.
I'm not trying to argue with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get your opinion, and I'm happy to have you voice it, and I'm certain. But on
Thank you
both
for calling,
sides,
Janet.
that's really the problem, Janet. For me, is that both sides do the same thing, and then we both talk about the other side doing that thing.
Right. And
so it's like, well,
such a good point.
Trump does this, and it's like, okay, and
but Hillary does
it
it too. And that's the
They
thing.
all do
and
it.
that's the thing. Like, is
It's
it
politics,
is it
folks.
better to, Donald
theater.
Trump? Yes, Hillary's going to have some people, parents who were shot in the
They're trying to win an election.
Right. But Donald Trump did not when he's the law and order candidate, he didn't even acknowledge, except for he said the word Ferguson, but he did not even acknowledge the opposite side of the bad police. And yes, obviously it's a small minority of policemen who are causing these problems, but that needs to be addressed too. If you are the law and order candidate, I think that you should acknowledge on both sides, and not one word about what happened about cops, killing innocent, black people. So
I think that's and if you're just tuning into the Miggs and Swig show here on 102.5 The Bone, we are talking politics because why wouldn't we?
JoJo loves a good politic.
That's my favorite. And if you have a say, one way or another, a yay or a nay, 800-771-1025, 727-579-1025. I think my biggest thing with Trump is that, to me, he's a businessman. He's not a politician. I don't think that he has enough wherewithal to understand. He has opinions, yes, and how, as a citizen, you would like to see things done, but to really know that it's not going to be his decision.
Well, you're
for
right.
everything to be made like it is in his.
Exactly.
He's a puppet.
You know what?
Right. So it's not his Trump Tower that he has
Exactly.
complete control over.
But he's got to understand that, and
That's what bothers me. I don't think
You
that
know
he
what,
understands
Joanne?
that.
That's a great point, because he's
Thank
used
you.
to, as a billionaire,
he's too narcissistic.
and we know some billionaires. They're
Alleged
used to getting
billionaire.
things. They're
Yeah,
used to
exactly.
getting things the way they want them to be, and if they're not, like you just kind of force your hand. Having the thing that I think anyone that goes for that seat needs to realize, I don't care what you think of Barack Obama. He is the smartest man in the room. That, I think, anyone would
But
say.
he doesn't have the final say.
But in the end,
No.
even being the smartest man in the room,
Right.
and good at politics,
correct,
means most of the people are still going to hate you, because you are not the one making all those. So can you see Trump fighting with the House?
He's 5. He'll be
and the
5 years old,
Right.
and
But he
and
won't
pitching
be
call them all
if we
poopy
don't
heads.
get more Democrats in. He's not going to be fighting with them because the House is full of Republicans.
But I've got to
Well,
think people will come to their senses when he's like,
I-
"Hey, can we really build a wall
Let's
over
hope.
New Jersey?"
Let me just tell you one thing too, is that I did want to add. I know we have to go to commercial, but one thing that I do think about Donald Trump is the way the media has portrayed him. I think that part of it is accurate and right on, but I do think that Donald Trump does have a big heart in a lot of ways, and I've heard it from other people. Where he does do things to help people. I think that his kids really, really blew me away. All 3 of them, or 4 of them that spoke, I think they were phenomenal. So there are some good. It's not all bad with Donald Trump in my mind.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like him necessarily, even as a person or his family. Like I've watched him, on television and different, and I love him on The Apprentice. I think he is a brilliant man.
Right, but not to lead our country.
Correct.
Gotcha. Anyways, you have it.
I agree with you.
You have it tuned to the Miggs and Swig show. We will continue this conversation for a little bit after this short commercial break. Thanks for listening on your Sunday morning.
are.
Sorry.
We are back on. My wife was walking over and she didn't have her headset on, and Ben was saying, "Here we go, we're on." And Lisa was actually saying to Michael something about about her dad.
My dad.
Which is very funny. Hey, by the way, again, so if you're just tuning in, the Miggs and Swig show is moving to Saturdays with a full lineup of original programming, and we will kick that off.
And we are part of that original program. Believe it or not, if you've been listening, we are actually original
from 10
program.
a.m. to noon on Saturdays beginning August 13th. The weekend before that, prior to that,
yes,
my wife will be inducting her dad into the Hall of Fame. I'm very excited for the entire DeBartolo family for this honor.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. Very well deserved by Mr. D. He's done a lot in the Tampa community and in the football world in San Francisco, in Youngstown, Ohio. He's just he's done great things, and he's done a good job. He and my mother-in-law Candy with their 3 daughters, who have actually turned out to be pretty good. Nikki's listening right
2 out
now,
of 3.
and I think she's probably on the fence when I say good about her. I'm not exactly sure what I mean. No, I love them all very much, and very, very, very proud of Lisa. She's had a week of doing some interviews with some people, and that's been exciting, right?
Yes, I thought my job was done for the Hall of Fame, and I just had to go and, look cute, but I have since had to do I have 2 interviews tomorrow. I did one on Friday with the Hall of Fame. Tomorrow I'm actually being interviewed by Martin Fanelli from the Tampa Bay Times. He's one of the sports columnists.
Will you be able to bring up Miggs and Swig show?
Yeah, please do.
Remember, what would Trump do? What would Trump do?
What would Trump do?
He would bring it back to him and his business. So
Yeah.
can you bring up Miggs and Swig show and say about our move to
Saturdays.
Saturdays 10 to
10 to
12?
Again, that would mean that this would be something about you, and this is not about you.
You are on the show.
And you are a Miggs.
Yes, but my husband always brings it back to him.
Oh,
That's
Donald.
not- that is
He
true.
said pull Donald Trump. Which speaking.
I'm not comfortable doing that.
Speaking of Donald Trump, as we continue this conversation that I'm sure we will right, wrong, or indifferent, it is the political cycle and the presidential cycle we'll be talking about over the next couple of months. Before the break, we had a Trump supporter, but in fairness to democracy, we have Tom on the line. And Tom, you're a Hillary supporter. Why are you supporting Hillary Clinton for president?
I think Hillary Clinton has a good foundation of education. She's a very bright woman. To get back to the other point you guys were talking about earlier in the show, when a man is circumcised, the British Journal of Urology found that it amputates the 5 most sensitive parts of the penis. So how can that be okay to do that to an infant who doesn't consent and who doesn't have any type of illness and who's likely never to have an illness?
Right.
A new study that just came out this year, Sneppen and Thorup, found that only 1 in 50 men will ever have any type of foreskin issue in their life, and only 1 in 200 would ever need surgery.
Tom,
So
Tom, are you circumcised?
I am, definitely.
And you wish you were not?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I despise being circumcised because I've researched what I've lost. I'm not embarrassed to speak out against it, and I wouldn't cut my child just so he could match me, have missing body parts.
Right. And do you wish that
concept?
Do you wish that Hillary put that as part of her platform?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that's very likely, but
Yeah.
I know Bernie Sanders was against circumcision, even though he's a Jew. Lots of Jewish people are.
You know,
there's a great thing right now called the Brit Shalom, which is it's like the Brit Milah, except it's a naming ceremony without cutting. All the families there, they have all the same, wonderful time, except the guest of honor leaves with all of his parts. It's beautiful.
Well, Tom, thank you for your input, and thank you for calling. Thank you for listening to the Miggs and Swig show. We're going to jump to Gino, who is undecided, and this I'm really
circumcised.
Circumcision or politics?
Whoa, Gino. So why are you on the fence?
Well, I don't know. Let me tell you something. Being a Democrat all my life, because I am I'm a poor man, I asked my mother one time, what am I supposed to vote? And she said, well, I'll tell you what my father told me. You know, Democrats are for the poor, the Republicans are for the rich. You know, I'm poor, I'm going to vote Democrat. So all these years I've been voting Democrat. But now there's so much propaganda, you don't know who to believe, what to believe, because everybody's – and it's legal to say bad things. It's not real. So who knows what to believe. However, when from day one, Trump came out, started saying, well, this is what I would do and this is what I would do. And I kind of like, you know, think of when a dog hears something, he lifts his head and looks. That's what I did. You know, yeah. I kind of, when I heard him say, I'm going to do this, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but I mean, everything he's been spouting is what everybody's angry at the politics. Everybody's angry at these crooked politicians. All these years we see them doing, we know they're doing it, but nobody knows how to stop them. So what do? So that's why I'm thinking, well, he's probably going to be. Now you say he doesn't know how to do it. Well, he's hired the best of the best to do things for him all his life. What do you think, he's going to do it by himself?
Well, according, I mean, according to him, and he did say this in his speech, and it's not word for word, but to paraphrase it, he says, "I will do it for you. I will do it." And it was all about him doing it himself. And obviously, he's been saying, "I'm going to hire people."
Right. All this time, he's been saying.
Right. Well,
and also, from the beginning, when he said, look at the Mexicans coming in. They're not sending in the best. It's sending in all their crooks. You know what? He didn't say what the media was saying. They made it sound like that's what he was saying. But they said, again, I'm a Democrat listening to Republicans, you know, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, wait a minute, you know, they shouldn't be doing this,
right.
You know?
Well, we appreciate you calling, and hopefully you will make your decision, whichever decision that is. That's the beauty of this this country. And he said something very interesting, and he said that, and this was my point about, you know, Trump and the speech and afterwards and having all this, you know, $1.4 billion worth of free advertising is, you know, if you say it enough, you hear his name enough, you do it enough, eventually people are going to drink the Kool-Aid. And that's the brilliance, you know, of Donald Trump. And one other thing that I was told, that his mom obviously told him, but, you know, that I was told by my grandfather was that if you want to live like a Republican, vote for the Democrats. But we have Tad on the line, who's a Trump supporter. And Tad, why are you supporting Donald Trump?
Hey, thanks for the great show, and thanks for the opportunity to call in
Absolutely.
about this. What I would say is that I don't agree with 100% of everything that Donald Trump stands for. And kind of what you're talking about as far as him, the brilliance of this is that the problem, why he's gained so much support is, you know, and we need to go back a little farther, is we go back to the Tea Party movement and the anger of the American people is the problem with our country is the politics. Okay, and the man is an outsider, and part of what's very attractive to me is most of the Republicans don't like him. Why? Because they're afraid. He's called them out, too. He specifically pointed out politicians. He didn't say Democrat. He didn't say Republican. In his speeches, he's going to hold them accountable. The problem with our country is career politicians, year after year, election after election, same old guys, same old tired policy. We need a change. The first thing the government needs that we is supposed to do for us is to keep us safe. What they need to do for me is keep me safe, make sure that the infrastructure within my country is good. We have power, we have electricity, and keep things running and stay out of my way. A point that was made earlier is one perfect point is circumcision. The fact that circumcision and it even brought up as a platform or anything to do lets me know that what in the hell are we talking about? We have ISIS. We have black men being killed in the street by police officers. We have black men rioting, and we're talking about circumcision should be part of a platform? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was
kidding?
Yeah, that was more of a joke than anything. But
the whole thing, it's ridiculous that what people are looking at. And I did want to bring up a point you had said earlier. You're saying something about the plagiarism, and had said, knowing it or not knowing it, it's still plagiarism. Well, let's talk about some emails. Knowing it or not knowing it, it's still a crime. Ignorance is no I mean,
excuse.
we could go back and forth about lots of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and we appreciate your call, and that was very well spoken. And that's the beauty of this whole deal, right? I mean, part of our show is we're not radio people, we're not politicians, we're not politicos, but we want to engage people in conversation, and everybody's entitled to what they believe, and that's. What we do here on the Miggs and Swig show on 102.5 The Bone. We're going to take one more caller, I believe, and Mark agrees with Trump, but is not going to vote for him. Why is that, Mark?
Donald Trump is just saying what people want to hear, basically. I agree with you what you said about Ted Cruz. That I gained total respect for him after what he did. John Kasich, that was Ohio, and he just bowed out. He just said, I'm not going to endorse him, so I'm not going to be there. Ted Cruz stepped up, and he really put him down, and that takes morals, that takes courage, and that he went against his party. He basically threw, his chances of being president under the bus just to keep his morals.
Right.
I mean, I agree with what you said about him. When I watch I'm a Democrat, so when I watch the Democrats debating, it's like a bunch of college professors. When I watch the Republicans, it's like a bunch of grade school kids. You're just, I mean, come on, grow up.
Yeah.
If someone put a gun to my head as a Democrat and said you had to vote Republican, it would have been John Kasich, and that would have been the only person I would ever consider voting for.
It's funny you do say that, Mark, because I don't get it. I don't know what I'm missing with John Kasich, and I don't know why he did not was not more of a factor in this cycle, and why he just I don't get it. I mean, the guy has a history of being executive governor of one of the key states, and no Republican has ever won the White House without winning Ohio. And he's obviously the governor there. He was under the Clinton administration, balanced budget, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, we appreciate your call, Mark, and have a great weekend. Thanks for listening and calling the Miggs and Swig show. So
I'm just so confused why people are so shocked that politicians are going to say and do whatever it takes to get
win.
in.
Right.
I just don't understand why this is like
it's not a new phenomenon.
Oh my God. I mean, it might be more prevalent. Is that the word I want? Because it's in your face because there's so much social media now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not anything new. People lying and saying whatever they need to say and do to get further ahead.
Right.
It's funny to me that has to actually happen.
I know, but it's the way it's always been. So
right.
Trump nor Hillary is better or worse because of the tactics they're using to gain votes and to get into the White House. It just, I guess, is a matter of who does it better.
Right. You're right.
At the end of the day.
Well, and that's why I wish we were at in a position to everybody gets $30 or $3 million, whatever the thing is, and that's all you get to campaign on.
Right.
If everyone's dealing with if we're all dealing with the same pot, then it really is apples to apples. And I know that
it's a great game, by the way.
It almost sounds like a socialist thing to put us all even. But
no, there definitely needs to be campaign reform, because you think about it. Last year, Mitt Romney and I think probably President Obama spent each $1 billion
last term, right?
And
think about what that money could have done.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
A tenth of that money could have done for, like, honestly, you give everybody $35,000 from that, and you'd still have $700 million dollars, whatever the number is.
The smart thing, I mean, give Donald Trump credit where credit is due, is he has managed to do that without spending a lot of money, because he's used what JoJo just said, and the 24-hour news cycles on every channel and social media and all that stuff as his platform to get his platform out there. He is way far behind Hillary in the fundraising campaign. But, so anyways, we have the DNC this week, and so we get to hear what they have to say.
That's so Go ahead, sorry.
What?
It just makes me think of something else every time you say that.
DNC, like Run DMC?
Oh, DNC.
Oh, anyways, you can tell me after the show. But,
it's a woman thing.
Everybody else got it, Ben.
They have a cloud over. I don't know if you guys have heard about the email scandal with the DNC that came out, and WikiLeaks got a hold of some emails that basically the DNC was plotting and against Bernie Sanders and how to get him not. Which the DNC and the RNC are supposed to be Switzerland and support whoever is the candidate for, and all these emails came out saying what Hillary should do to get Bernie Sanders on his religion and other topics that they should hit, and it's a scandal, but does it surprise anybody? No, I heard Bernie Sanders on the way over here, and he's like, it doesn't surprise me. Am I going to not support Hillary? Am I not going to support our nominee? No, but it doesn't surprise me. So it's like this whole thing.
What surprises me?
What's that?
When a man is uncircumcised.
When a man loves a woman.
It's not typical.
Well, here in America.
Here in America.
Yeah.
Or the people that I hang out with.
Yeah, well, which are Americans.
Not all of them.
Well, a lot of them.
Most of them.
All right, there you go. So mostly.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, you are saying that. So, Ben, we're in a spot now where everybody, forget politics. It's across the board. You sort of say what you need to say to make sure people are paying attention to you.
Right.
Go look at people's Instagrams or their Twitters. They're like, dude, they're standing in front of a car they don't own. They're talking about the best night ever they've had, like which they didn't have the money to have that best night ever. Like everybody's sort of, we're all pretending to try to be more than we are. Because everyone feels like we're not enough as we are. Look at Kylie Jenner doing all the stuff she's doing to her body at her young age. We're so busy trying to be someone else. And that's from politics to musicians to anybody on the street. And I thought JoJo would argue with me on that. But
no, it's funny because one of the things that I wished that we could do, when you talk about superpowers and everybody, what superpower would you have? And the whole thing during the RNC and even coming up this week in the DNC, I wish I could have a bubble, above the person's head to what they're really thinking. Or what they're really saying. I mean, how great would that be to have a true inside look to what, whether it's Donald Trump or a supporter or, whatever, that it would just be the best superpower ever.
That's why politifact.org is a great thing to go to, because at least even if they're not telling you what they really think, that
right, it's great, which is bipartisan. It's not, they call Democrats out just as much as Republicans. So if you want to fact check, what our politicians are telling us, that is a great place for undecideds or even people who are supporting their candidate to see if they're really telling us the truth.
Well, I have a fun fact.
What's that?
What is a fun fact?
We're all going to be together next week.
We are.
We are.
I am traveling to California.
I'm very excited about it.
For our final Sunday morning telecast.
Why is that?
Telecast? That's
Radiocast.
Thank you. I love that Jamie.
He's rolling his eyes.
I know. Jamie just puts his head down like,
who are these guys and why do I get involved with them?
Amateurs.
Yeah. We don't claim to be.
We don't claim to be amateurs either. So then we moved to Saturdays.
Yeah, we're going to start hitting the airwaves.
The airwave is
that right?
That is
10 to 12 on Saturdays beginning August 13th.
Wow. It seems like it's going to be fun and frolicking for us.
All of those alliterations you just did right there.
There you go.
Fun and frolicking. We like to do that.
I do.
All right. So anything planned for today that anyone has that they want to say before we end this?
I'm going to be Sunday funding.
Oh, we'll be partly Sunday funding with you at the Ivy.
Quasi.
We're going to the Ivy for lunch.
But you're just not going to the. Where do you guys go after the
Abbey?
The Abbey.
The Abbey.
Don and Lisa bow out because they're boring.
We are so boring.
I'm going to be watching.
Because Don has to get home to clean his uncircumcised penis.
We never got into a conversation about. I had a massage yesterday from a man, and I wanted to know if that was a good or a bad thing. But we can't get into that.
No.
Can't get into a lot of things because Jamie's saying it's time to end this show.
We got to wrap this.
Hey, everybody, you listened to the Miggs and Swig show, and we will be back with you next week, 10 to 12 on Sunday. Love to your mother. See ya.